Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's VinPF and today we've got a special episode because this is the first time I've ever released a video on the day of release of a whisky. Now this is the Scotch Malt Whisky Society outturn for July, and this particular one is the 37.119. Now if you don't know much about the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, they are a special group, a exclusive group you could say, because you have to pay to be a member. It's about £65 for a basic membership, but you can kind of go up and up through the packages. If you're interested in stuff like that, you can go and check out some links in the description below. You can see all about it, and this specific whisky is there as well. Now the way they work there is they don't really tell you what whiskies they are giving you. They just give you a load of information about it apart from like the distillery. But that said, if you're savvy enough, I won't go into the distillery today because it's kind of, for me, it's all about the fun of it. But if you want to, you can go on Google and you can look up what these codes mean. But essentially, you've got the 37, which is the distillery. So it's the 37th distillery that they have bottled from. They didn't necessarily bottle in order. You know, there might have been 20 of number 1 by the time they got to 37. I don't know the precise numbers. The 119 at the end of it denotes the cask number that they got from it. So this is the 119th cask from that distillery that they have bottled. So a little bit more about this one itself. It's just out today, like I said. It's a whopping 56.6%. They're all presented as single cask strength, every single bottling they do. All natural coloured, all non-chill filtered, all the things that everybody loves. This one is going to be selling for about £75, so I've had a look at their stocks. It's not the cheapest bottling that they've got, but it's not the most expensive by a long shot. And of course, remember, this is a single cask stuff, so really you're kind of getting a good deal, I would say. Now, it's also a 16-year-old whiskey. It's finished for 2 years, so first 14 years is ex-bourbon barrels, hogsheads, and the last 2 years were in a first fill PX hogshead. That's pretty much all the information you really need to know. There's a few other things on the bottle as well, like I think they call it the Plum Sauce Rancio-Fest. They've got kind of like sing-song names for their bottles, but it's really a kind of tasting note vibe off it, so it should give you a kind of general indication. But if not, they've kind of got this coding system, which I'll plonk up here, and it goes from all over Scotland basically, but they do things outside of Scotland as well. And this one is in the kind of deep, rich, dried fruit stage, which, if I'm getting my kind of angles right, should be somewhere in the top bit of this. Down the bottom is where all your kind of islers and things are. Anyway, let's get on to this whiskey and see what we think of it, and if you should get it. I don't know, maybe not, we'll see. Now for me, it's been sat on the side for a bit now because of this very high ABV, 56.6%. But it's kind of sweet, kind of brown sugary vibes going on there. I get quite a lot of toffee from this, and it's not really a kind of like plain toffee. It's more like a treacle toffee, something like that. Very syrupy, but it's not like, although all those things I've just described are like really sweet, it's not like the sweetest whiskey I've ever tried, or even a liqueur. I mean, like I did the Tennessee Honey a short while ago, and it's nowhere near as sweet as something like that. But it's kind of typical of PX, but obviously without it being fully matured in a PX, it's not like overly so. I'm not a huge fan of that influence, so the finishing element of it kind of works well for me. Let's get onto the palate and see what we've got. More of that sweetness is coming through, but it's a really thick and viscous whiskey. Probably due to the fact they haven't watered it down at all. It's as the cask delivered it almost. Loads more of them dried fruits, which is kind of indicative of a sherried whiskey. But again, it's not like overly so because it was only finished in the first fill PX. It hasn't taken too much of that element on it, so it's not overly sherried. But the weird thing about this is that it's also a little briny. Again, not like overly so, like you would get like a Talisker or a Old Pulteney. They're very, very briny whiskies. It's not like that at all. It's really quite understated, but it is there. Now the finish, I would say it's kind of medium-y. I'm actually surprised about how short it was. I was expecting it to be a bit longer. And for me, it's very aniseed forward. Really does take over the palate on the finish. So I know there's a good few of you who don't like the aniseed flavour, so I would suspect that this might not be top of your hit list, but it's definitely something to be aware of if you're looking at trying something like this. Now, here's the thing about Scotch Malt Whisky Society drams. Pretty much every single one of them I've loved. I'm a big fan of basically all walks of whiskey now. I know that a few of you aren't huge into peat. Some of you are huge into peat and aren't so much into the sherried stuff. So really you have to pay attention to those kind of codes that I showed you earlier about what you might like if you are interested in buying bottles from them. Now for me, I'm erring towards the peated side of things at the moment. So stuff like this, although this is fine, you know, it's really quite tasty. Would I go out and buy a bottle of it? Probably not. It's quite expensive for me. £75 is still a lot of money where I am in the kind of journey of whiskey. So I would say on their flavour profiles, although I enjoyed it, it wouldn't be one that I just rushed out and bought. That said, they've got some more coming up. I've got some more samples to share with you. So if there's any peated ones, I'm sure I'll be going full in on those, but we won't know until we get there. For this one, if you're interested, check out in the description below and you can see more about it. They're all kind of, again, not overly so because it's like, I know there's a good fair few